Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Mark Clements, Chief Medical Officer of Glooko. Dr. Clements, thanks for joining us.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate having you. Just to kick things off, maybe you could tell us one, a little bit about yourself, and then two, a little bit about Glooko and what the company does.
Absolutely. I am a pediatric endocrinologist, and I have served as Chief Medical Officer for Glooko since 2019. I had been on the medical advisory board for about 4 or 5 years prior to that, so I've been working with the company for quite some time. I am a clinical trialist. I provide care. I use the Glooko platform every day. I'm in patient care, I'm in clinical research, and I am very interested and always have been in the use of digital technologies to improve the delivery of healthcare. So Glooko has been a great fit for me. As a company, Glooko got its start trying to connect a blood glucose meter to an individual's mobile phone so that it would be easier for individuals with diabetes to share their data with their trusted healthcare provider. And over time, that role as a data integration platform to help patients share their daily self-management data from devices to their trusted healthcare providers has grown to over 200 devices. We have a footprint globally. We are in, I think, 9,000 clinics globally, if I remember correctly. We're used by 10,000 endocrinologists globally. So we have quite a footprint, and I really think of us as, somewhat the connective tissue that helps the patient be connected with their trusted healthcare provider.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that overview. Look, I know you guys do so many things and have really expanded this business in a number of ways, but given that you're a clinician, you are a user of the platform, we'd just love to hear a little bit about, the various solutions that you guys offer to clinics and providers, what's really resonated with them. And ultimately, I guess, using these tools, what outcomes have you seen with diabetes patients?
Yeah, so we actually offer multiple products, some that are targeted to the clinic market, some that are targeted to life science companies and device companies. I'll focus first on the clinics in light of your questions. So, the base Glooko platform offers a population health management dashboard so that clinicians who are receiving data from patients within their clinic can use the decision-making heuristics that they're accustomed to using by starting at a very high level and looking at quality metrics, and then drilling down all the way down to individual patient behaviors at individual moments of the day. That's really, as a diabetologist, the way I evaluate somebody's self-management. I'll look at the overall quality of glycemic control. I'll look at overall behaviors related to insulin dosing or medication engagement. I'll look at overall physical activity, et cetera. But diabetes educators on our team will generally want to evaluate what happened with a specific low or high blood glucose value. And that ability to drill down from a very high level to a very focused level, I think, is incredibly valuable. I would also point out that we're one of the very few platforms out there that allows one to segment the population and to identify populations at special risk. So if you want to find individuals who are having a lot of high glucoses, a lot of low glucoses, individuals who have disengaged from their self-management or their device, you can do that on the Glooko platform. In addition to that base platform for clinicians, we have a mobile application for individuals with diabetes. This mobile application can be used in some cases to share device data, so they don't have to plug their device into a computer at home. The data can simply be shared through a Bluetooth connection to the mobile phone, or in some cases, a cable connection to the phone. We also have digital therapeutics on the platform. An example of that is our MIDS platform for mobile insulin dose titration. which has been shown in studies to be non-inferior to a paper-based or manual titration approach. This is important because we have a lot of individuals with prediabetes out there who are beginning basal insulin therapy for the very first time. So if you think about it, when you first start somebody on insulin as a diabetologist, you're giving them a starting dose, but then you really need to evaluate and reevaluate how they're doing on that dose. How is it affecting their fasting glucoses and their postprandial glucose levels? So in the past, individuals would have to come in to the clinic to get that reevaluation. But in the era of remote care, we'd really like to be able to leverage telehealth. We'd also like to leverage, automated decision support tools, which is what MIDS provides. You can put somebody on a titration algorithm and then send them out, and you'll be able to get feedback and see how they're doing.
Got it. No, I appreciate that overview of all that Glooko has to offer. Would like to start, I think, on the first thing that you talked about, and it's population health management tools. And what I'd really love to hear is your perspective on the value of that. I think a lot of the technology that we've seen in diabetes tech has been very focused on individual treatment decisions, individual data, and really optimizing, that individual care. But, now you guys are taking this population health approach. What value does that offer? What advantages are there for clinicians, patients, et cetera?
Absolutely. One of the things we've observed in the diabetes field is just this incredible pace of discovery and innovation. So we have more advanced technologies than we've ever had. New insulins, new continuous glucose monitors, new insulin pumps, new automated insulin delivery algorithms. And one might predict naively that once you put all this great technology into the field, that everybody will just have perfect control, but that's really not the case. With any drug, any device, any technology, there will be some people who take it up easily and benefit from it, and some people who have a more difficult time gaining the benefit from it. So population health really recognizes that we cannot have a one-size-fits-all system for care and expect to achieve health equity. Health equity is a very important objective across all of healthcare in the US and globally. So if we want to get the best outcomes across the entire population, we really need to provide more tailored intensification for some patients. We need to differentiate what we offer based on the unique needs of different patient groups. A perfect example is, if I am not screening for social determinants of health in my population, and I can't identify the individual who can't afford their medications, can't afford transportation to get into clinic, then it's really difficult to have a conversation about how to be more successful on your continuous glucose monitor before we tackle those issues, right? I think that I can give you dozens of examples of where very specific intensifications or very specific differentiations of care would benefit the overall population.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. I guess, pushing into that a little bit more, obviously, you're a clinician, you see patients, you understand that doctors have very limited time with their patients, given the volume of patients that you guys cover. Is there always a benefit to having all of this extra data? Is there a way that you guys have figured out the way to kind of filter that down to real actionable insights where you're driving improvements and outcomes?
Yeah, I think this is also a really important question because time is a limited resource, right? And if you think about the number of patients that each diabetologist, each diabetes clinic is providing care for, we have a difficult time managing that resource in the best possible way to achieve the best outcomes for everybody. So how do we try to reduce cognitive burden to allow clinical teams to accomplish more with less? That's really what we're talking about. And we really start by taking that top-down approach that I mentioned, where we give people just enough information to get a sense for the overall quality of care and self-management for an individual. And if they want to stop there, they can accomplish an awful lot, right? So this may be valuable for primary care clinicians who may just want to know, look, how much total insulin is an individual taking? Are they taking their other medications? And what percent of time are they spending high or low? And then they can make some decisions. But for an expert diabetes care team that's multidisciplinary, where there might be more time, more resources, then you can drill down and down and down and offer, more and more expert resources to support that individual.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know you mentioned, the total number of clinics that are on Glooko's platform, the number of endocrinologists that are using the platform. Maybe can you help us understand, the level of growth that you're seeing now that you kind of provide clinics and providers, these tools and this data, how much is it really resonating with them? Are you seeing a lot of growth, a lot of new clinics coming on board? What's your expectation for the future?
Yeah, we are. We're expanding into new markets. Our growth in Europe is very significant. We're developing quite a footprint in France and Germany. We are also expanding the services that we offer. So, I mentioned that we're one of the few platforms that offers tools for managing population health. Well, one of the other products that we have is a precision engagement platform. And a precision engagement platform allows one to sort of actualize the goals of population health. So imagine, if you will, that you're a clinical care provider and you would like to segment your population to identify cohorts of special interest, and you would like to deliver educational or behavioral intervention campaigns to specific segments of the population. You might want to deliver specific questionnaires, like a social determinants of health survey, to specific segments of the population. The ability to do that in platform is very powerful. And that's where we're starting to see a lot of interest, where I think clinics can start to really own the Glooko platform and have it help them accomplish their specific goals for their specific clinic population.
Got it. Okay. No, I appreciate that color. Talking about the behavioral aspect of things, I'd love to kind of shift gears over to the digital therapeutics side. I know you guys are working on that end. And, when we last spoke, you told me that, you guys have the ability to kind of nudge behaviors with the patients. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about how that works? What's the underlying mechanism that you guys employ? And just kind of give us the overview of it.
Yeah, so this is an emerging feature on our platforms, and I want to distinguish that we have, the Glooko platform for clinical care that has the web portal for clinicians and the mobile application for patients. We also have a platform that allows us to develop custom digital therapeutics, and that is separate from the Glooko platform. And in this case, we currently have the ability to nudge behavior by, again, segmenting the population, identifying the right context in which to deliver a behavioral nudging intervention, context being time of day, geolocation, whether they have taken a medication this morning or not. Right. So these are all opportunities for intervention, opportune times for intervention. And then we can identify the right intervention to deliver in the form of behavioral strategies that map to psychological theory. That this is evidence-based. And we can test various strategies against each other in A/B testing or ABC testing. So the capability for doing that exists on our platform. And again, that's an emerging feature, but we're just starting to get potential partners very interested in that.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe to the extent that you can speak to it, can you tell us a little bit about some of the learnings that you guys have had in early days there on, what really works with these patients, what methodologies, what strategies are really working and where you're starting to see real impactful changes in income and outcomes.
Sure. I can speak to that generally as an endocrinologist. So I mentioned to you that I'm very involved in the clinical trial space and clinical research. And we know in type 1 and type 2 diabetes that you can't just deliver any educational or behavioral intervention and expect it to work. There really is sound psychological theory that drives whether something will work. As an example, there are strategies like behavioral economics, where one can provide a behavioral economic incentive to an individual for completing particular tasks that promote their own health that work. One can use motivational interviewing techniques in some chronic diseases. This is just a way of engineering or constructing a conversation with a patient that allows them to identify their intrinsic motivations for improving a particular facet of their self-care and their health. So, for instance, if I were to ask a teenager, are you motivated to improve your A1C or your average glucose? They might stare at me blankly. But if I were to ask them, are you interested in improving your soccer game or your volleyball game? Then I might get a lot of interest, right? So identifying those intrinsic motivations is important. So there are dozens and dozens of strategies out there for moving the needle on self-management behavior for individuals with chronic disease. The important thing is that we don't just take a sort of shotgun approach to this, that we actually study the literature, we study what works, and we continue to learn from that. And that's what we're trying to do.
Got it. No, I appreciate that. So, I mean, maybe you could kind of help us understand the same way that I asked, around the provider solutions, with this aspect of the business, I guess what level of growth are you seeing here? How do you expect this business to expand over time? Obviously you guys are collecting tons of data and gaining really meaningful insights here. So would love to hear how that's kind of translating over to how the business is growing more broadly.
Yeah, I can tell you that we've had a ton of interest as we've had conversations with various potential partners around this. If you think about it, if I'm a life science company and I have a new drug coming to market or a drug that is expanding into a new market, I want patients to be the most successful they can be on that medication, right? The same is true of a device. If I have a new device coming to market, I want to identify the potential facilitators and barriers to success for individuals who are using my product. The fact that we can now generate custom surveys segmented to populations of people using that particular product, the fact that we can deliver targeted education to individuals who are experiencing specific events while they're on that product makes it very attractive to life science partners. So I'm probably not the right individual to give you numbers on how fast we're growing. I can tell you that based on the number of partner meetings that we're having, the interest is, I would say, extremely high. And my, I have colleagues who are in Europe for one of the major diabetes conferences there right now, who are having conversations with companies that are interested in this particular area, how to pair their particular product with a digital therapeutic.
Got it. Look, I mean, this was a great transition because my next question kind of was, if you could tell us, give us an example or one or two of the partnerships that you've had with, different device or drug companies that have kind of particularly excited you, and tell us a little bit of what you guys are doing with them and what in particular excites you about these partnerships.
Sure. Well, if you look, for instance, across life science companies that we've partnered with in the past, device companies that we've partnered with, we've got, for instance, a very strong relationship with Insulet. Insulet is a very important partner to Glooko. They've just launched a really fantastic product, the Omnipod 5 automated insulin delivery system. And as you examine how that product is, growing in the marketplace, how it's performing in the marketplace, what the potential facilitators and barriers to people's success and clinics' success in deploying that product in their clinics is. We really have the opportunity to work with a company like Insulet to solve some of the problems that are most important to them, or to help them accomplish some of the goals that are most important to them. That's just one example. LifeSci Partners, we've had a long-standing relationship with Novo Nordisk. Have done a lot of exciting work with them, and plan to continue to do so.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think what's most interesting to me is that you guys are really this underlying piece where you're collecting the data and you're generating really meaningful insights, from that data. As a clinician, and also as someone who's just at the front lines of this space as an innovator, where do you see the diabetes tech space kind of moving in the future, and what role is data going to play in all of this?
Yeah, well, I think that data is sort of a fuel that makes the engine go, right? So if you think about it, we've got limited resources in healthcare. The traditional model of a brick and mortar clinic being able to accomplish everything that it needs to accomplish to support a person with a chronic disease in 1, 2, 3 visits a year, we've just demonstrated that it doesn't work, right? Chronic disease management is 10% addressing physiology and 90% addressing behavior. And of the behavior, it's only 50% the patient's behavior and 50% the provider and healthcare system's behavior that we have to address, right? In order to achieve optimal outcomes for everyone. So I think we're going to see a lot more digitized care. We're going to see a lot more digital behavioral interventions, digital educational interventions as adjuncts to care programs that are really focused on providing care remotely, where one might have 1 or 2 visits in a year that are at the brick and mortar site because a physical exam is important, that personal relationship is important, but then you can extend the relationship and be more present than you ever could before as a clinical care team through short video format visits, through text communications in between those visits. So I think we're going to see that the ecosystem really broadens to find a strong role for synchronous and asynchronous telehealth solutions to support this. And it's all driven by data, right? We can't provide support if we can't see what's happening.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just want to take one from the audience, and it kind of shifts off of this is, are you guys seeing real impact across both type 2 and type 1 diabetes? And then I'll kind of add on to that. Is there a specific patient profile where you guys are seeing the most impact? Is it like patients who require insulin? Is it a broader profile?
Yeah, so because of Glooko's focus historically on device data, you can imagine that we've had a bit more attention to individuals who are using insulin. But with the advent of the digital therapeutic and precision engagement capabilities, it really puts us in a position to provide care across the continuum, pre-diabetes, early stage type 2 diabetes before insulin is ever started, individuals who are developing adjacent conditions like hypertension or chronic kidney disease that are important in the context of their diabetes. All of these are possible on the Glooko platform. I will point out that our app for patients and our web portal for clinicians is very adaptable, right? If your patient's primary problem relates to glucose and insulin usage, we have the tools for that. If the primary problem relates to high blood pressure, to weight management, to lifestyle interventions, modifying physical activity and diet, we have the tools for that. So we're really moving to an era where our platform is hyper flexible to accomplish the needs of clinics and our important business partners.
Got it. No, I appreciate that. I think we have time for one more, and I guess I can kind of close out with this question. A lot of really exciting stuff happening at Glooko, a number of new moving parts, a lot of really interesting products and solutions. For the investors in our audience who, may have followed you guys for a while, even those who are new, what do you think are the key things to take away about Glooko's future? How should we think about the growth across each arms? What are the most exciting opportunities in your view over the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, well, the first thing I will say is that you should base your view of our future on our past and the incredible growth we've already had. The fact that we're evidence-based. So to your earlier question, Glooko actually has evidence for the benefits of its platform in the context of remote care. We've shown that we can decrease, A1C and type 2 diabetes by a very significant amount. The fact that we're becoming more flexible as a platform to really adapt to the needs of clinics and life science and device partners means that it's not going to be Glooko out in the marketplace, but it's going to be my Glooko from the perspective of those clinics and partners. They're going to be able to make Glooko do what they needed it to do.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'll try and sneak one more in. If we think about where you guys are, let's say 5-10 years from now, ultimately, what does Glooko look like? What's the broader vision?
I think we've expanded to other chronic diseases in a much more significant way. I think that through our partnerships and organic and other growth strategies, we have really paired our device data integration and custom or precision engagement platform with solutions that provide turnkey or front to back solution for providing remote care, capturing the data to support it and capturing the revenue that clinics and others can gain from delivering remote care. So we're positioned very well for partnerships with lots of other companies working in this space who are providing solutions that really fit nicely around the Glooko product.
Got it. No, it's a very exciting vision for the company. Really excited to see the progress that you guys make. Thank you so much for taking the time for joining us today, Dr. Clements. Really appreciate the insights. Really appreciate you walking us through the story and everything that Glooko has to offer.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Have a good one.
Have a great day.